Hey guys, Demon here. This is the intro, not the actual video, but hope you enjoy it. Hey guys, Demon here, doing the final Rick and Morty review for Season 3, Episode 10, the Rickchurian Mortydate. I think that's what it's called. And I'm pretty sure people said this was going to be like a spoof off of the Rickchurian candidate or something like that. I've never watched that movie, or if it is a movie. I heard that it was like something about brainwashing and stuff, but whatever. Let's get into Rick and Morty. This episode was one of the more enjoyable episodes of this season. By the end of this season, the last two episodes were kind of lackluster, including the ABCs of Beth and Morty's Mind Blowers were really lackluster to me, and it was just kind of slowing down after, Rick Lantis. It was really slowing down after that episode because we got to see Evil Morty and stuff. And this episode, I was hoping we would get to see Evil Morty again, but we don't. But we do get a fairly good episode, all in all, once everything is said and done. This episode is really, actually good. And personally, I gotta say this, I would have enjoyed if they would have switched Rick Lantis with the ABCs of Beth, because this episode has two plot lines to it, and last episode was the ABCs of Beth, but it would have made more sense to me if it was about like 2 episodes worth of content before Beth started to realize that she might be a clone. Because in this episode, Beth realizes that she might be a clone, but we don't know that yet, obviously. So she starts realizing this, and I feel like it would have been better if it was 2 episodes before she started to realize that, and she started to look at her life, and she was more happy during those 2 episodes. That would have been better, in my opinion. Although she wasn't in either of those episodes, so it would have worked out anyways. But if there's 2 episodes in between that, and then in this episode she started to realize that she's a clone or something like that, I would have been like, yeah, that's interesting. And plus, that would have made the second last episode, which was the best episode of the series, awesome to watch. I'm just saying, I would have preferred the ABCs of Best come before it, because it was pretty much, in my review of it, I said it was a little bit better than Morty's Mind Blowers. But now that I think about it, it's not as good as Morty's Mind Blowers. It's really lackluster to me. So I would have enjoyed if it was in place of the Rick Lantis episode. And Rick Lantis was episode 9. That would have been awesome to me. Because then we would have watched that. And then I wouldn't have had this craving for... Well, I would have had a craving for Evil Morty still. But I would have been I don't think it's going to happen in this season. Because, but I get what they did. They probably did to make you think that was going to happen in this season with the whole breakdown stuff. But it didn't happen. Too sad, I guess. But it would have been interesting as hell. I gotta say that. But anyways, let's get into this episode. It has 2 plot lines, as I said. The first one is Rick and Morty going to the president to stop aliens and stuff. And the second one is Beth thinking that she is a clone of Beth. First off, let's go with the Rick and Morty with the president. So they go to the president. The president's kind of a dick. And the most things that they say to him, I kind of agree with because he is a big dick. And we get the best line of the whole entire series so far in this episode. Season 1 to season 3, this is the best line ever. And it was, call the president, Rick and Morty just blew off America. I saw it, this is hilarious to me. That's the best line I've ever heard of Rick and Morty. Just Rick and Morty just blew off America. We gotta make that into a t-shirt. That was fucking hilarious. But anyways, after that, they go after this alien. They get bored of it, so they go home to play Minecraft, which is pretty interesting to see that they're thinking of Minecraft, even though it's pretty late to think of that. They have a little joke there where they said, "Yeah, South Park did it a long time ago." Like South Park did it like 8 years ago. That was pretty funny. Kind of reminds me of that South Park episode where like Simpsons did it, Simpsons did it, because everybody has inspirations and most things have been done before, so somebody has done it before. Most likely someone's done it before. You just gotta add your own little twist on it to make it your own style. But anyways, they go there, they go into the tunnels, they fight this thing, but they don't really fight, they just go home. And then the president gets butthurt. Really, really butthurt because they're like, listen, we'll save the world and stuff, but, like, you're kind of like a dick, pretty much. So he's like, okay, we'll save the world and stuff, okay, bye. So he's just like, whatever, we don't need them anymore. The president's just like, we don't need them anymore, so we're gonna go and do stuff ourselves. And then they discover a little village that Rick and Morty want to go to, but the president says, oh, we don't need you because we have our own portal, which is a giant-ass portal, and we have shrinking pills and stuff like that. But then Rick and Morty do it anyways, and that's the moment where they actually become enemies of the state, like enemies of America, because they insulted the president. I don't think the president can do that. If someone insults him, I'm pretty sure he can't make them enemies of America. But man, was he salty. Because he just made them enemies of America and was like, do not go on American soil or you're fucking banned. So Rick and Morty go to the small people, get like a peace treaty. Then they go to Iraq, I think it was. And like the whole of Afghanistan and stuff like that. Basically got a peace treaty from them too. And then they're like, oh, Mr. President, like... like, we have peace now, and they're saying it's in your name and stuff. And he's like, God damn, Rick and Morty, like, and he's like, why would they do that if they hate you? He's just like, they're doing it just to fucking piss me off. And I can see that happening. Especially with someone with a lot of pride. If you have, like, a lot of pride and someone does that to you, I can see you being really pissed off at that. If someone does something and then says it was in your name, but they did, and you know that they did, someone could get really pissed off at that. Me personally, I wouldn't get pissed off. I'd accept the glory. I'm just saying, if someone's offering, I'd be like, sure, I'll accept it. Depending on what it is, obviously. But he gets pissed off because he has a lot of pride, and he is really salty. This president they have is a salty, salty guy. But anyways, after that... they look for them. They're like, where the hell is he? I want to find Rick and goddamn Morty. And they're just in the White House, where they can't spy on them, supposedly, I guess. I don't know why, but they're like, this is the only room you can't spy on, because I guess they have all their memes in there, and they don't want people to know what their memes are about. So they go there. Rick gets into a fight with the president. Gets into a fight with the president, I should say. For Morty to get a selfie, and then he's like, listen, give Morty a selfie, we'll leave you alone, and that's it. But Rick ends up killing a whole bunch of people, gets into a fight with the president, and at the end, Morty's not even there anymore, and Rick's just like, whatever, and they talk it out, and the president agrees to let Rick borrow his portal, and he's just like, listen, I'll stay out of your hair, just let me borrow your portal, let me deal with this real quick. And that's because of the second plot line. That was the first plot line. So the first plot line was Rick and Morty gets in trouble with the president because they ditched him, and he's a really salty guy. They get banned from the country, but at the end they get back into the country because the president just agrees to, just let him be, and they won't bother him, he won't bother them, sort of thing. So the second one is pretty goddamn funny itself. Sorry for a second. But anyways, sorry about that little interruption. The second one was pretty goddamn awesome. Not as awesome as the first one, but it's all about Beth thinking that she's a clone. And it's pretty goddamn hilarious too. So it's all about Beth thinking that she's a clone. she calls up Rick, and she thinks she's a clone because she thinks she's a totally different person because she feels happiness. And in my personal opinion, do I think she's a clone? Or do I think that she's not a clone? I don't know. The majority of me thinks, like, the majority of my head thinks that she's not a clone because I feel like Rick would have killed her if she was, and he would have killed her pretty much instantly too. Like, he wouldn't have waited for her to figure it out or something like that. And I feel like Rick was being genuine when he said that, like, over the phone when he was talking to her. I feel like he was being genuine saying that she's not a clone. So, that's pretty interesting to see. But I definitely feel like he was being genuine and saying, you're not a clone. Smart people are just different when they find happiness. People are different when they find happiness. And that is definitely true. Like, if you find happiness, your life can change and you can feel like a totally different person. So, Beth finally found that happiness and she finally got, like, comfortable with her own life from the last episode, which I personally think should have been the episode instead of Rick Lantis, but whatever. Let's not get into that. So from the last episode, she found her place in life, and she's what's the word? She's content. That's the word. She's content with her life now, and she's happy, and she thinks because she's happy, she's a totally different person, so she thinks, maybe I am a clone. What she could be, but I do not think she is. I just think she's happy and she thinks she's a totally different person. So this is the point where she goes to see Jerry because she starts freaking out because her father says, if you were a clone and you figured it out, I would have to kill you. So she goes to see Jerry. Jerry talks to her, and he like replays their first date where he kisses her and stuff, and she's like, I remember hating that date, but now I love you. Like, I love this and I love you. And I think she's always loved Jerry, because in the previous seasons we've seen them argue and bicker back and forth and stuff, but the majority of that was Rick's fault, but a lot of it was their fault as well, but a lot of it was Rick's fault. But at this point, she's getting over the fact that Rick is such a douche, and she's getting over the fact that she has to fucking basically suck daddy's dick to do anything. You know, so she's getting over that fact, and she's just like, maybe I don't need Rick in my life as much as I used to, you know? And she's actually, like, falling back in love with Jerry because her dad's not going to stop her this time. I feel like Rick was putting a lot of tension on their marriage, and that's why she broke up with him and stuff. And that is why, in the season premiere, that's why she broke up with him. That's why she dumped him. And I feel like at this point, she's just like, I don't feel that way anymore because he doesn't have that hold on me anymore. Which in my opinion is great, because I gotta say, man, I don't have the best relationship with my dad. And if he ever came back to my life and like expecting me to dump my girlfriend or something like that, or dump my wife or whatever, because he wanted me all to himself and he wanted my family to be his family and he hated her or something like that, I'd say, fuck you, pretty much. You know, because Beth has a lot of childhood, like, she has a lot of problems. A lot of daddy issues. And I would say I do too. But Beth decided, when Rick came back, she decided to, like, cling on to that and go, like, I want him back, I love him, like, I need him, pretty much. But the way I decided was less like, eventually I figured out, like, I don't need that guy that was never there for me, you know? Like, I don't need that guy. And even if he did come back, I'm like, we can have a relationship, but don't forget that I didn't need you back then, and I don't need you now. Because when I was a kid, I used to idolize my goddamn dad, even though he wasn't there. But when I got, like, 14 years old or so, I realized it's like, that I didn't need him at all, you know? Eventually you realize that sometimes you don't. Beth didn't. I did, you know? I can see, like, a lot of parallels there. I don't know, I just feel like I could connect with her on that level, but not to, like, but she didn't realize that she didn't need him at a certain point. You know, that's good character writing, I guess. And a lot of people in real life probably do that. They probably don't realize that they don't need that person that wasn't in their life, and if they ever do come back, they probably cling to that person because they think they don't want them to leave again. But if somebody in your life left you and they're not going to come back, but if they do come back, just realize that you didn't need them in the first place and you don't need them now. Unless they want to make a legitimate relationship with you, then that's okay. I don't know. Sorry about that little tangent there. But anyways, Beth thinks she's a clone. She goes to Jerry's. She talks to him. He convinces her that she is a clone because she said that she hated that moment, but now she loves it, and now she loves him. And I personally said that I never think that she hated him in the first place. I do think that she loved him, but Rick was putting a lot of stress on their marriage and stuff like that. But now she doesn't need Rick anymore. So they run away to a cabin that they've been to before. Probably in an old episode, maybe. But I'm not super sure. I've never seen that cabin before, but maybe they have run there before. And obviously, Rick comes there because he's smart. And they shouldn't have went to the same cabin twice because they're morons. I thought Beth was supposed to be smart, but I guess not. So they go to the same cabin. There's this little joke in the background where Jerry keeps on lighting this match, but he can't get it to light, so Beth has to light it like 3 times, like twice for him. That's pretty funny. And also, Jerry gets pretty insulted in this one. Because Beth is just like, you simple, lovable man. That's pretty funny. But Jerry, at the end there, I think they really dumbed him down because he looked like a goddamn idiot. But anyways, Beth is just like, oh, like I don't want to, like, because Rick comes with a gun, and Beth is like, listen, if you want to kill me, if I am your daughter, I'm not your daughter because I'm a clone, yada, yada, yada. She says, like, I'm a clone, I know I am, blah, blah, blah. And then Rick's just like, listen, you dumbass, you are my daughter. Like, you're my daughter, you psychopath. You're just happy and you don't feel like bothered down by it anymore. And she's just like, oh yay, she hugs the kids and stuff, and she's like, why'd you bring the gun? And he's just like, to kill Jerry. And that's where Morty ran off, by the way. Morty stole the power gun and ran off to be with his family, because at the end of the day, we saw in the first, like, the premiere of the season, we saw in the first episode, that Rick would rather save his family Morty would rather save his family than Rick. Because Morty actually gives a damn about his family. Instead, maybe evil Morty, but we gotta check that out in the future. Hopefully, season 4. I wouldn't mind if it was the last episode of season 4, but I wouldn't mind if it was in the middle. But anyways, Morty chooses his family over his grandpa, obviously. And at the end, Rick tells him that he was there to kill Jerry. And Jerry's just like, oh, cool, I guess. He kind of looked like, no one cares that your dad just said that? Okay. But at the end, everything goes back to normal. Except Beth doesn't have that dependence on Rick anymore. So that's going to be a change. And now she's more, like, she stands up to him more and she defends Jerry more. So that's very interesting, because before, as I said, she pretty much suckled his dick. I'm just saying, she did. But now she stands up to him more, so that's pretty interesting. And then we get to see Poopy Butthole with his whole family, because it's been a long time, I guess. I guess Poopy Butthole's family grows pretty fast, too. And then he says, let's see you in next season. How long? That's going to be a really long time. I'll probably grow a beard and, I don't know, I'll have a couple of grandkids. That's hilarious. They're basically making fun of the fact that this season took so long to come out. I hope next season will come out, like, soon, like next summer maybe, or even sooner than that. That'd be pretty interesting. But, you know, that's what he was just saying. He's like, it's going to be super long next season, so it might be super long, but I'm hoping it will come out soon. All in all, this episode was a great ender to a season. The best season ender was probably season 2, and that season ender was awesome. Season 1 season ender was okay, But season 2 is the best season in there, and this one is the second best because there's only 3 seasons. This one's the second best. It was really interesting. It didn't have what I exactly wanted, but I can deal with that. And hopefully it won't take another two seasons to get Evil Morty back. Because we got Evil Morty in the first season, nothing in the second season, and then the third season. So hopefully it doesn't take 4 and then 5 to get him back. Let's hope he comes back in the 4th season. And let's hope it's really good, just like these seasons are. And remember, not only did South Park do all this, so did The Simpsons. Now, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Stay sane, my friends. Peace. Hey guys, this is the outro. Just want to remind you that if you want to subscribe, you can press the circle, or if you want to watch another video, you can press the square. And also, if you like the video, give a like, leave a comment, share it. As always, my friends, stay sane.